Guys, someone asked how to make a video on this, and I was going to do it, so I figured I might as well. So if your front output shaft seal leaking, right here, that seal, you got to change it immediately, otherwise you'll get water in your engine oil, which is bad. This is the easiest way to change it that I've found. I've done a couple of these, so you don't have to do anything with the front diff. Leave the front diff where it is. There's this little drive shaft. It was in here, okay? So there's 4 bands. You can see where they used to be. You cut those 4 bands, those guys. Can't reuse them. Take those off, slide the boots off to get the shaft loose, and the shaft's wiggling around in here like this. Okay, then you take off the engine mount bolt and the little triangle bracket, which is that guy right there. And that allows you to let the engine drop down and push it over to the passenger side. When you do that, the shaft will come this way. You can sneak the shaft out right here really easily. Don't have to do anything with the front diff, I say again. Once the shaft's out of the way, you've got to get the coupler off. The coupler has a little trick to it. It's splined on to the output shaft. You can see those splines right there. Those go on like this. Okay? But what you might not know is that there's a bolt inside there. See the threads? That bolt, where is it? It's a goofy looking bolt. Let me find it for you. There is a bolt. Oh, that bolt. That bolt and washer go inside the coupler and bolt the coupler to the output shaft. Okay, so undo that bolt, impact with a long extension, hold the drive shaft, or hold this with a pair of vice grips. I don't know where they went. That works well to keep from spinning, and zip that out with the impact. Okay, now this is still kind of a press fit, and this one was kind of rusty because it's not sealed super well because it's a Can-Am. So it was stuck on there pretty good. So once you get that bolt off, you have to pry with a screwdriver from right here, pry this way, and just tap up gently with a hammer. Tap and pry, and this will pop off. Once that pops off, see that groove in the output shaft? There's a snap ring in it. That snap ring. It's kind of a bear to get off. I find what works best is 2 picks. Snap ring pliers don't really work that great on it because it's a round one. So 2 picks to get the spring off. Then you clean, this is important, clean your output shaft really well. I even polish it with a little bit of sandpaper. That means the bearing can slide off easily. This right here is your bearing carrier and seal carrier for your front output shaft. Now you could leave that in the motor and just pick the seal out with a crow's foot or a seal pick or whatever. It's easy to take it off, and this less of a chance of scratching the seal and scratching the side of it, so I just pull it off. That's your bearing. That bearing rides in the back side of it right there. But I pull the whole thing off. You change the seal on the bench, bolt it all together, do the reverse of those steps, and your front output shaft seal is changed. When you're taking it off, it's important not to let the drive shaft slide forward, because it can slide forward a little bit. Not a huge deal if it does, but if you let it come forward too far, you could damage the rear output shaft seal, which would be bad, because that is a lot more work to change, because it goes through the motor into the transmission. But yeah, so clean that surface really well. Drain the oil first. Obviously, you're going to have oil dumping everywhere. And ultra gray your carrier back into the front of the case. And then gently put your seal over these splines. Grease the splines first. Some people even take a piece of heat shrink and heat shrink it over the splines, or wrap with electrical tape. I don't usually do that. I'm not that careful, or I'm not that paranoid. I just carefully slide the seal over it. If you're not careful, you could damage the seal sliding over there. Then put the seal in, tap it into the same depth this seal was in, or about so. See how it's pretty deep in there? And you're good to go. It's actually a pretty easy seal to change, and the Renegade is a lot nicer to work on than the Outlander as far as plastics having be in your way and stuff like that. The bike's a lot more open, and it's easier to clean, easier to work on in general.